Will, my friend, so I've got one chance for everybody where I can really look through this, and I'm recording the video only because it can be really useful to hear what a person thinks out loud as they're sort of perusing through this. So this isn't my attempt to sort of make more work for you. It makes a lot more work for me, actually. But I have only browsed through most everyone's submissions, and so now I've seen yours, but I haven't really read through it much yet. So anyway, I've got your resume. The formatting of this is totally fine. I think that you will be improved if you do like what we've been doing in class, where you create the actual style on certain parts of the text. Because, like I posted in an announcement, where a lot of employers use applicant tracking systems, the ATSs read documents kind of like HTML. And so they are looking for, is there like a heading one, a heading two, a heading three, and so forth. And so the heading one is going to need to be your name. The heading two is going to be education, skills, projects, and experience. And then the heading three is going to be probably like stadium manager, cook, cashier, and you may even want to add a couple of more in between here for the projects. So, or you could change it so that way, like 3D Tower Defense Game is an H3. The value for that is that it will give context for when you use those applicant tracking systems. And you may not even be aware that an applicant tracking system is being used, but it'll be helpful. And so it'll just get you through the bots. And so that's really easy too. In Google Docs, you've been doing that. Microsoft Word, it's the same way. Assuming this was probably done in Microsoft Word. There is the ribbon up at the top on the home part of the ribbon. There's the styles block. And so there's like title and cover and like heading one, a heading two, and a bunch of others. That's where you'll set those. And you can change the formatting of them too. The problem here is that there is no formatting, and so it's all very flat. It's just all the same stuff all the way down. Okay. Indiana University, blah, blah, blah. Bachelor of Science, glad to see that you wrote that in there. Some people haven't been. They've just been writing media arts and sciences or media arts and science in there. Bachelor of Science is a useful way to appease the bots because they'll say something like, must have a bachelor's degree in something. And the nutty thing about media arts is that for the last 20 years that I've had one, and I was in the second graduating class of the media arts program, whenever time someone says, what's your degree in? And I say media arts, they say, what's that? And so then I just say computers. Coursework, game design, development, digital storytelling. Okay. Skills, game engines, design, Illustrator and Photoshop, GitHub, apps. Office apps are kind of duh. I feel like it's saying I'm proficient with Windows or Mac OS or an iPhone. It's like, of course you are. We've all had one. We've had one for years. So I'm not going to put you off taking it off there. It's just not that valuable. Level like Call of Duty Zombies mixed with a fantasy environment. It was a VR level made with Unreal Engine. I feel like you're talking to somebody and it's not me, and I don't know who you're talking to. This is where verbs would be useful. A VR level with engine. The player has a shooting staff that shoots fireballs and a dark elf sword. I don't know that I'd focus on things that were missing. Talk to me about the stuff that you did do, because now it feels like this is half finished, and I don't really care for that. Yeah, talk to me about what you did do. Talk to me about the things that it included. 3D Tower Defense Game. 3D Tower Defense Game with the inspiration from Bloons Tower Defense. 2 lanes for the enemies, with each lane being the same but mirrored over. HUD system to buy towers and upgrade. Goals to complete a set number of waves. Okay. Stadium manager for the 11 games, and a cook cashier for Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers. I will tell you the same thing that I tell everybody, and I have for a long time, and I don't care who. I don't care who says it. I don't care who tells you otherwise. I'm sticking to this, and I think I could find lots of people who would agree with me. When you are at this point in your life where you are applying for professional jobs, the cook, cashier stuff, retail, that sort of stuff, everybody does it. Nobody looks down upon it. Why would we? We were all young once. This is just the natural order of the world, right? I don't care one wooden nickel that you worked at Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers. Quite frankly, whether you had it listed there or not, I would not care. I think that you should take it off. You may struggle, however, because it looks like from this standpoint that you had no professional experience that you could put there. And so what do you do? It's like, well, do you have stuff that you've done yourself that we would call a freelance? I would not use the word freelance in here, but I would call it independent experience. And if there are things, projects that you could point to, that you could point to a video or a website or something that I can actually engage with something to show that you are not just sort of spending your days whiling away the hours not doing anything, then do that. Because I look at this and I'm like, oh, okay, he's just never had a professional job before. And off you go. Not knocking that. That is totally reasonable. That is how the world works. But doesn't add much for purposes of pursuing actual professional employment. So, cover letter and references. You know, as I've been looking at the two of these things, I'm realizing that you have no portfolio, because anytime that I go hiring people myself, it's like, yeah. Because when I get cover letters, I get the same stuff, right? And like I said in the announcement, and I copied yours in as well. Like yours was one of the examples. It's like so many of these things are just the same freaking thing. It's like, I'm excited to submit my application for this, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. What are you going to do for me? That's the question. I noticed that you've got double spaces between all these things, which is, from a design standpoint, I noticed those sorts of things. Odd choice. Most people don't do that in your age bracket. I will tell you what I've been telling everyone else. When you are trying to apply for a job, this becomes a business decision. This is a transaction. This is not that much different than buying a car, right? It's an expensive thing for me as an employer. I want to make sure that I get this right because it's expensive to screw up. I don't want to spend a lot of time training somebody only for that person to leave or not be the right person for the job or not have the right skills. And so what I want to know is, what are you going to do for me? Not me as your teacher here, but me as sort of a generic employer. What are you going to do for me? Make this a you-centric thing. I called this marketing yourself because part of this is that you have to market yourself. And one of the ways that you can do that, like I mentioned in that announcement, and if you haven't read that, please do, because it applies a lot to your situation here in this particular submission, is can you turn these things into a you statement? So it's like, I am excited. I don't care. Currently, I'm a third-year student at IU Indianapolis. Fine. My passion is to create video games. I don't care about your passion. What I care about is what you're going to do to help me make money, because I want my customers to be happy. And so what are you going to do to help me make money? And if you can figure out a way to say that, to say, you should hire me for your game development internship, because I have figured out a way to craft these really compelling textures that no one else has been able to really do yet at my level or my age, right? Or within my class. Or I've got this exciting idea. Like, if you imagine, maybe you started off with, imagine a game where you're doing X, Y, and Z, and player X can do what player Y is doing over here or whatever. Like, sell this to me. Make me think that you are the person who is like the best student within this entire program about exclusively making game design development. After you've done sort of that, where you've grabbed my attention or you've sold it to me about like what value you're going to bring to me, then you can talk about in your, academic world and throughout college and so forth. Like, you can get back into the I focus of it, but at the start, it's like, it's a lot of me, and I don't care about you. I care about me as in sort of an employer. So I've long admired your company and your products and believe that working with your company, got to be careful if you do this generically. I get that this probably is a little bit generic, but you got to be careful that you don't just refer to like everybody as just your company. Also, there's a typo that believe that working with your company, would not only benefit me, fine, I don't really care about that, but also benefit your company as well. Okay, you have my attention with my knowledge of your products, along with passion for this industry, which is hard to quantify. Passion is whatever. There's somebody more passionate about you. You've used this phrase in there at least twice, 3 times. I get it. It's like, cool, you like video games, dude, but there's always somebody who's a little bit more passionate than you are. With my knowledge of your products, along with my passion for this industry and strong interpersonal skills, it would allow me to contribute meaningfully to your teams. Okay. That's really hard to quantify. I don't even know how I'd measure that. I don't even know how I would even feel that. Although I may be reserved at the start, I know that I could grow into an energetic and productive member of the team. Interesting phrasing for that. To be perfectly honest, I would just ignore it. I get what you're trying to say. It would come through in an interview regardless. I think that your job here is how to navigate the next step in the process, right? Just like a game. It doesn't really matter how you get over there, just freaking get over there, right? And if that means that you just cautiously omit some things, like the fact that maybe you're a little reserved or nervous or anxious or shy or whatever, just ignore it. Just don't say it. It's not lying, it's just omission. Strategic omission. I know I could grow. Don't say could. This is another thing. Have some force behind what you're saying. This is, again, back to the marketing aspect of this. Don't say could, should, would, I think, I believe, I feel like, I'm aiming to, I would like to be able to. No, don't say any of that. Say I am, I will, I can. If you're going to say something like that, have the force behind it. I will grow, I can grow, I know I will grow into an energetic and productive member of the team. Okay? And that's where we are on this. And the unfortunate thing is that I really wish I had a portfolio to look at. Is it here? No. Generally speaking, with references, leave these off. It's pretty common, actually, at this point. You should have this in your back pocket, but you shouldn't give that up right away. Most employers are never going to spend the time calling references first. They're going to sort through their resumes. They're going to say, okay, here's the 10. Which 5, 10 people do we want to interview? They're going to bring those people in. They're going to do the interview, and they're going to say, great, we've eliminated 5 more. We have 5 left. Who do we want to talk to again for a second time? Who do we want to pursue more? And they're going to say, okay, here's our top 3 candidates. They're going to call those top 3 references, right? They're going to call the references for those top 3 candidates. Putting this here is doing an unfortunate, I won't call it an unfortunate disservice, but it is revealing. And it is revealing that it's like, yep, this person is young. Fine. It's just the way of the world. This gets back to the position at the Freddy's Frozen Custard. Again, it's like, what am I supposed to reveal? Like, that person, Nolan Poole, isn't going to tell me anything about you except the fact that you can show up to work, right? He doesn't know anything about your ability to help me as a game designer make a new game. Same as probably your Whiteland Schools teacher, maybe, I'm guessing. This is the sort of thing that you should have them in your back pocket because you'll need them. Don't include them with actual submissions to jobs. Just include the resume and the cover letter. But you're in the portfolio dev class. I'm guessing that you're working on something, but man, if there's a URL someplace, I'd really like to see it. So that's what I want you to do here. I want you to update this cover letter, make it a little bit more you focused on me. Some more examples of this are in the announcement that I posted earlier this week. I also want you to consider what you would do to sort of revise a couple of these lines in here to make them a little bit more forceful. And on your actual resume, I think things here were pretty fine. I'm not going to tell you that you have to take these 2 things off. If you did, it would look pretty thin. And so then the question becomes, how do you beef this up? I think that if you've got some ability to strategically include independent experience in there, then do that. And then resubmit here, and we'll talk more about that. If there's a job that you've been considering applying to and you have a job description someplace, by all means, go find that. We'll talk about that too. See if you can't lift some of the key words out of it to put into the resume and the cover letter, because it'll help get you past the bots. Also, put some formatting in the resume so that way it's like your education, skills, projects, and so forth have some headings, and that your name also has a nice little bit of a heading there too. One other point of information, I just realized this, that you used your Gmail over here, and I think you've used your IU email over here. So maybe make those 2 things consistent. If it's me, I would use your Gmail because it looks professional enough. It's your name. That way, if and when you graduate, you won't have all these resumes floating around that has an email on it that you're probably not going to look at that much after you leave campus. Say, I'm going to put 50 in here, which is my placeholder for we are just halfway done with this conversation. I think what you've got here is fine. I wish there was also a portfolio. I'm hoping that there is someplace, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. That's out of scope for this particular assignment in this class. But we are half done with this conversation. So this will go up. I just want to mark that in there, like I have been for lots of other people, to just say that we are just halfway through the conversation. I think that you are more than halfway done with the actual project.